ghostly being, Mu Wushuang. As the remnants of the battle completely dissipated, Xiao Yin stared at the spot where the eerie man had just vanished, lost in thought. Sister, that guy just now. He's a bad person. At that moment, the little Zhuoma, with eyes like agate, spoke up softly, as if triggered by something she had just remembered. Why is this guy so mysterious? This trip to fight for the undying sacred tome will definitely become quite dangerous. After struggling to make sense of it, Xiao Yin shook his head helplessly, still unable to figure out the identity of the man. That person's power was clearly ghostly energy, and he was a soul entity. Such a level of strength wouldn't come from the Soul Clan, the Soul Hall, or any of the extraterritorial evil clans or forces of sin. This left Xiao Yin temporarily puzzled. After all, the only forces Xiao Yin was familiar with were the Soul Clan, Soul Hall, extraterritorial evil clans, and sin, all of which were scattered around. The ghostly energy on that guy was so eerie and strange. Even I have never seen anything like it before. But that ghostly energy he's wielding is definitely not simple. AI Xun'er, with her beautiful eyes closed, spoke softly. Forget it, let's focus on the main business first. After a moment, Xiao Yin shook his head and pushed these troublesome thoughts aside. Sister, I might know who that person is. As Xiao Yin and AI Xun'er were at a loss, little Zhuoma's porcelain-like delicate face suddenly showed a trace of wariness, and she spoke again. You know him? Hearing little Zhuoma's words, Xiao Yin couldn't help but focus on this little girl. According to Xiao Yan's perception, which was currently sealed, it seemed like the little girl had no presence of Do Qi or any soul power. She appeared to be just an ordinary little girl, but due to the abnormal movement of things like the undying leaf inside her, Xiao Yin refrained from asking. So, when the little girl spoke, Xiao Yin was naturally surprised. That person just now is a bad person. They want to steal the treasures in this forest. After a moment, the little girl clenched her tiny fists, her face flushed with anger as she spoke. This little one. Hearing little Zhuoma's words, both Xiao Yin and AI Xun'er nodded involuntarily. Little Zhuoma, can you take us to that place? After a brief exchange of glances, AI Xun'er spoke again. Surprisingly, this time little Zhuoma didn't hesitate and slowly agreed. She then tightly grasped AI Xun'er's hand, walking towards the mist. Let's go. AI Xun'er and Xiao Yin walked ahead, occasionally turning to ask Xiao Yin. It seems this time, the battle for the undying fire will also become interesting. As Xiao Yin finished speaking, a shadow, lit by the faint glow of flames, suddenly began to squirm like a demon, following Xiao Yin. Within that shadow was an indescribable force of destruction, which was likely the Fire Guard ruler, Xiao Yan's powerful protector. Who? The scent and sound of birds and flowers seemed to flow endlessly from ahead, and the figures of Xiao Yin and the others slowly appeared in the area. This place is... Xiao Yin frowned as he looked at the white mist in front of him. The sounds and scents of birds and flowers were clearly coming from inside, but they hesitated. There are treasures inside. Many bad people come to steal them. Big brother, big sister, you promised Zhuoma to protect them. Is that okay? Once they arrived, little Zhuoma's expression suddenly became tearful, and she spoke to Xiao Yin and the others. We promise you. Seeing her like this, AI Xun'er responded. Thank you. As soon as she finished speaking, little Zhuoma's hand moved slightly and touched the white glow in front of her. Bang! 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 Suddenly, deafening sounds like thunder erupted, and Xiao Yin and the others were sucked in by an incredibly powerful force. A few minutes later, the three of them passed through the mysterious passage and arrived at an unfamiliar place. They found themselves in a densely vegetated forest, but there were overwhelming, shocking fluctuations spreading from the forest. This is the glacial heavenly river? At the same time, AI Xun'er, usually so composed, suddenly tightened her expression and exclaimed, Someone's coming. Before Xiao Yin could ask, he quickly used his powerful strength to pull the two women behind some rocks at the edge of the forest. Damn it, this glacial heavenly river really is strange. How come after so many days, We still haven't figured out how to enter the bottom of the heavenly river. What are we going to do? After Xiao Yin and the others hid, several anxious men passed in front of them. Xiao, Xun'er, very cooperatively, gently held little Zhuoma, whose face was filled with confusion, and gestured for her to be silent. Glacial Heavenly River. According to the teacher's records, this is a sacred place near the undying fire. The bottom of the heavenly river is said to hold extremely precious treasures. However, that kind of treasure might be related to the undying fire. After the figure walked away, Xun'er explained to Xiao Yin. It really is a curious and unique sight. Xiao Yin smiled slightly after hearing her words. The three of them were still inside the undying sacred tome. The feeling that the undying sacred tome gave them was like layers of green leaves wrapping around them. At first, they were at the outermost layer, but now they had entered the inner layer. As for how to reach the innermost layer, it was uncertain. You two stay here quietly for a moment. I'll go take a look, Xiao Yin said, looking at the several forces gathered around the glacial heavenly river. He frowned and then smiled. There are many strong ones here. How are you going to get through? Xun'er asked in confusion, as there were no cultivation techniques or do skills in the fire attribute that were suitable for stealthy reconnaissance. Such tasks were usually better suited for dark or shadow element experts. Vroom. Before Xun'er could finish speaking, Xiao Yan's body directly melted into the shadow behind him, transforming into tiny, almost imperceptible scratches and heading toward the glacial heavenly river. This guy, truly a freak. Xun'er couldn't help but roll her eyes. But this was actually a technique Xiao Yin discovered after mastering the Fire Guard Ruler. He could temporarily hide his aura within the shadow of the Fire Guard Ruler, making reconnaissance tasks much easier. However, there was one flaw to this method. If he got too close to someone with a light attribute, he would likely be exposed instantly, but for other attributes, it wasn't a major concern. Thus, Xiao Yin fused into the Fire Guard Ruler's shadow and followed it toward the ice surface where numerous forces had gathered. The Fire Guard Ruler was naturally Xiao Yan's shadow. It didn't have overly strong power, but it would look for opportunities to strike a fatal blow during battle. After Xiao Yin infused it with fire attribute power, it was strong enough to deliver a decisive blow at critical moments, which could turn the tide of a battle. For now, Xiao Yin was just borrowing its power. Whoosh! The sound of massive waves suddenly echoed, the sound so powerful that it sent a chill down their spines. At this moment, they were clearly in a rather expansive forest. However, the forest was quite small in area, and in the center of the forest, there was a basin-like depression. The basin was surrounded by white light, which appeared to be a barrier, preventing anyone from entering. Below, even without seeing it firsthand, one could imagine that it was filled with white rivers surging and roaring. No one knew where these rivers originated, but they were certainly flowing from the edge of the forest toward the center. The collapsed basin was filled with a magnificent waterfall formed by numerous converging rivers. The white waterfall was charged with overwhelming power, and there seemed to be some strange movements in it. This was the so-called glacial heavenly river. How is the situation? On the edge of the basin, near the waterfall, there were 3 teams. These people had calm expressions, but it was clear they had not found a way into the glacial heavenly river. Otherwise, the silence would have been shattered instantly. Still haven't found anything? There is an extremely powerful barrier at the entrance to this glacial river. Even with all of our collective experience, we can't break it. As for the treasure here, it's probably located below the basin waterfall. But to get down there, we need to break this mysterious barrier. One of the leaders from the 3 teams spoke up. The 3 teams consisted of Xun'er from the Soul Hall, a force named Xintian Palace, and 5 others from the Earth Hall. It's probably related to the undying fire. But this barrier seems to be tightly protected. Xun'er, wrapped in a black robe, stood alone beside the basin, her beautiful eyes fixed on the waterfall below. She murmured, listening to the calm sound of the waves. I wonder what Xiao Yin and Xun'er are up to. Over at another location, Hu Tianyuan from the Meteor Gate of the 5-Sect Alliance wondered aloud. It was clear that without Xiao Yin and Xun'er, Their alliance of 7 sects had now become just the 5-sect alliance. Let them be. Although we agreed to join forces at the beginning, we separated once we entered the undying sacred tome. Now, they can only rely on themselves. Xiao Guang from the Earth Pavilion said with a slight smile, his gaze still fixed on the basin waterfall. With his power, it seemed that he could sense something terrifying lurking below, beyond just the barrier blocking their way. What about Mu Wushuang? In the last location, there were only 2 figures, both of them cloaked in mysterious power, making it impossible to discern their identities or true strength. He went to find that little one. Our priority now is to break this barrier. Once we get the treasure, we can head deeper into the undying sacred tome. If Mu Wushuang gets that thing, we can directly enter the undying sacred tome. As he spoke, his gaze also grew serious. Creak. A sound echoed, and shadows began to emerge from the sparse trees in the forest, as though something was approaching. Everyone, standing here wasting time isn't the solution. Why don't we join forces to break the barrier, and then we can each take what we deserve based on our abilities? What do you think? After a moment, 2 men from the Xun'er palace stepped forward and asked the others. I agree. After a brief pause, Xiao gently moved and spoke up. Even with her soul power, she couldn't penetrate the barrier or see what lay beneath. At this point, the powerful individuals stood at the edge of the basin. They could only hear the sound of surging waves. The area below was completely filled with a white mist, but there was no fog, so their soul powers and senses had temporarily returned. And you? Seeing Xiao agree, the 2 powerful men from Xun'er Palace spoke again. Xiao's strength was unquestionable, and as the top genius of the Soul Hall under the 5 Great Halls, with her help, the success rate of breaking the barrier would undoubtedly increase. We agree as well. The 5 from the 5-sect alliance exchanged a glance and immediately agreed. Since that's the case, let's not waste any more time. Let's move. As soon as the words were spoken, the 2 men from Xun'er Palace took action. We hold the key to breaking the barrier, but during the process, you'll have to deal with the waterfall and the hidden threats. The 2 exchanged a glance and said, naturally. The others nodded in agreement. In an instant, everyone moved toward the barrier, and brilliant doqi spread from their bodies. These guys really know how to handle things. But the thing down there is probably related to the undying fire, and from the tone of those 2, it seems that the place where the undying fire exists is quite intense. I wonder if the power of my 2 sacred flames can withstand that heat. Xiao finished speaking, and the black shadow in the forest disappeared again, clearly going back to look for Xun'er and the others. Hee. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. This time, let's see how you escape. As Xiao cautiously left, a strange figure appeared. However, Xiao didn't notice that the black aura emanating from this figure was identical to the one from Mu Wushuang, whom they had fought earlier. Let's go. After Xiao arrived, he briefly communicated with Xun'er before speaking. But this little one... For a moment, both hesitated. Little Zhuoma had no strength, and her background was mysterious. Now, Xiao and Xun'er were heading to a very dangerous place. Bringing a helpless little girl along made even Xiao hesitate about her safety. Big sister, I can protect myself? Little Zhuoma, with great spirit, looked at their hesitant expressions. Her eyes sparkled, and gray flames suddenly spread from her body. Gray flames? Xiao pupils contracted as he exclaimed. These flames are very similar to the undying fire, but their power is only as strong as a small fire-type heavenly seed. Strange indeed. After carefully sensing, Xiao shook his head in disappointment. Based on the information Xiao had gathered, the undying fire was expected to be gray, exactly like the flames surrounding little Zhuoma. However, his own sacred flames and flame mantra did not emit any aura, leaving Xiao puzzled. Forget it. Let's move on. Soon, the 3 of them hid their figures and slowly made their way toward the waterfall barrier in the center of the forest. Boom. Hold on. At the center, white energy beams shot out from the base of the waterfall. The power contained in them was overwhelming. At the same time, beneath the impenetrable barrier, a terrifying aura seemed to be slowly awakening. This is a savage beast? Even before they saw the mysterious creature, Xun'er, standing nearby, said in alarm. Whoosh! In an instant, water poured from the bottom of the barrier, and a huge shadow slowly emerged into view. It was enveloped by rushing water, making it impossible to identify the creature at first. However, its overwhelming presence made it clear that it was no ordinary being. Damn! What is this? The experts from the Five-Sect Alliance, who were originally standing in midair using their doqi to resist the barrier's power and protect the two men from Xun'er Palace, suddenly felt a surge of fear as the mysterious creature appeared. However, they failed to notice that the two members of the Xun'er Palace had been preparing to break the barrier, secretly taking some actions. As the massive creature appeared, cracks began to emerge along the edges of the barrier. Not good, retreat quickly. At the same time, Xun'er, standing at the front of the group, let out a soft grunt and swiftly retreated, leaving the void within the basin's barrier. With her powerful soul strength, she had already sensed the creature hidden beneath the water screen. Roar! Not long after, the massive figure, wrapped in torrents of water, shook violently, its body trembling like a mountain. The water screen around it was instantly shattered, and surging waves shot towards the other powerful figures, revealing the creature's form to everyone. Gulp! This is the savage heavenly beast? Seeing the massive creature in front of them, its body nearly 1,000 meters long, everyone's pupils constricted, and they exclaimed in unison. Who would have thought such a creature would be guarding this place? Meanwhile, Xiao and the others were hidden in the shadows, observing. Xiao fixed his gaze on the enormous beast. You know of it? What kind of creature is this? From its aura, it probably possesses the strength comparable to the early stage of a 5-star Xun'er. Xun'er, holding little Zhuoma tightly, asked. This ancient giant beast is called Huang, Xiao said softly. It is also known as the savage heavenly beast. Its existence is a product of the world's fate. Wherever it was born, there are legendary realms and places brimming with wonder. Looking around, the Huang appeared like two large spheres, one big and one small. Its lower body was round, and silver scales emerged all over its body. On top of the scales was a faint, miniature sphere, within which eyes gleaming with silver light slowly emerged. With its thick arms and legs, it seemed like a single strike from this beast would contain terrifying power. Small head, big belly. This thing looks pretty clumsy. Looking at the creature that had emerged, Xun'er expressed her confusion. It was hard to associate such a creature with the term savage heavenly beast. Attack. Eliminate this guardian, and everything else here will be ours. Seeing the savage heavenly beast appear, the two members of Xun'er Palace yelled to the crowd, though their gazes remained fixed on the cracks in the barrier. They knew that with their three teams, driving the savage heavenly beast back would be difficult, let alone defeating it. Boom! As soon as the words left their mouths, the two members of Xun'er Palace exchanged a glance, and a chilling, menacing ghostly aura erupted from their bodies. In an instant, they moved like lightning and attacked the Huang's massive form. Bang! 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 The ghostly aura carried with it a terrifying force, but when their beams of dark light struck Huang's round, massive body, it felt as if they were hitting cotton. No damage was inflicted at all. This creature is no simple foe. Seeing the two members of Xun'er Palace fail to even harm the beast, Xun'er and the powerful figures of the Five-Sect Alliance grew increasingly alert. Among the Five-Sect Alliance, only Zhaoguang had reached the early stage of 5-star Xun'er. The other four were all at the peak of 4-star Xun'er. Meanwhile, the two from Xun'er Palace were a half-step into 5-star Xun'er and at the early stage of 5-star Xun'er. Despite their combined efforts, they couldn't gain an advantage over the beast, making everyone wary. What are you waiting for? Attack! The two members of Xun'er Palace, having retreated, shouted at the other two teams. Attack! Seeing the Xun'er Palace members in such a sorry state, the 5 experts from the Five-Sect Alliance unleashed a dazzling aura of doqi, launching their attacks on Huang simultaneously. This creature seems to have an intention. What is it doing? Xun'er hesitated, not rushing to act. With her soul power, she could easily detect that the reason the Huang seemed calm was not because it feared them, but because it was preparing something. This creature has several hidden ailments within it. It's trying to use their power to recover itself. Truly, it has an extraordinarily high level of intelligence. Fire Guard Ruler, go. By the end of the sentence, a shadowy figure flashed behind Xiao, heading towards the group. However, no one noticed that after Xiao used the Fire Guard Ruler, he had completely disappeared. Damn, this creature's shell is too tough. Our attacks can't even leave a scratch on it. We can't go on like this. After several minutes, the 5 experts from the 5-sect alliance and the 2 from Xun'er Palace had continuously attacked, but their power mysteriously vanished upon striking the silver scales on the beast's lower body. No one noticed that the cracks along the barrier's edge had grown much more distinct. Gulp! Just as everyone was at a loss, the silver pupils of the Huang suddenly opened wide, and an even stronger aura surged out in an instant. At this point, it is likely that it has already reached a level comparable to a mid-stage 5-star Docian human powerhouse. At this moment, the 2 experts from the Xun'er Palace stared grimly at the ferocious, heavenly beast stationed at the edge of the barrier. Roar! Roar! The enormous body suddenly shifted, and a surge of silver energy erupted from within, radiating out in all directions with a terrifying, destructive force. It aimed directly at the group, and within that force, there was even a trace of their own power. Strange beyond belief. Let me handle this. Ghostly vengeance spirit. Seeing this, the 2 Xun'er Palace experts formed strange hand seals, which instantly transformed into a bizarre hand surrounded by eerie light. The hand, shrouded in ghostly radiance, emanated an oppressive aura that seemed to suffocate the air itself. People from the Ghost King realm? AI Xun'er, watching from below, suddenly spoke up. Ghost King realm? Xiao mind jolted at the mention, as if some thought had just crossed his mind. Boom, boom, boom. The attack from the ferocious beast collided, sending sparks of searing hot energy flying everywhere. The temperature in the area shot up, but the explosion was quickly diverted by the 2 experts from Xun'er Palace to a crack on the edge of the barrier. Whirr! With a faint sound, the small crack suddenly expanded several times in size. Whoosh! 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 These 2 are up to something. Follow them. In an instant, Xiao and the others turned into streaks of light, disappearing into the vanishing void. At the same time, Xun'er and Mu Wushuang also followed closely, leaving only the 5-sect alliance members to deal with the ferocious heavenly beast. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Before the 5 members of the 5-sect alliance could react, the crack immediately closed, leaving behind an extremely furious, ferocious beast. Their situation was likely to be perilous. With the appearance and disappearance of the strange void, the group swiftly passed through the mysterious barrier and the ferocious beast's defenses, heading toward the glacial heavenly river below. And this time, the most important item within the glacial heavenly river was likely about to reveal itself. Whoosh! Whoosh! With a wave of spatial distortion, Xiao and his group entered the depths of the glacial heavenly river. However, when Xiao broke through the mysterious barrier, an overwhelming coldness, almost like a soul cleansing, flooded his entire body. Whirr! After a moment, Xiao couldn't help but shiver, clearly feeling that the cold was not external, but something that seemed to target his very soul. Even with Xiao's formidable strength, he was filled with a sense of unease. This place. After breaking through the barrier, the full view of the area immediately came into Xiao's sight. Before them stood an isolated peak-like ice palace, surrounded by a waterfall towering 100 feet high. The waterfall was circular, with raging torrents pouring down from all sides, creating a deafening roar. In the center stood a majestic ice palace, entirely made of ice blocks, exuding a bone-chilling coldness that sent shivers down one's spine. At this moment, besides Xiao and his group, the 2 experts from Xun'er Palace, Xun'er, and Mu Wushuang, who had been covertly following Xiao Yin, were also present, and Xiao Yan's fire guard ruler had hidden beside him at his summons. This place. Soon, AI Xun'er, holding little Zhuoma, spoke with a wary gaze, her eyes scanning the unusually cold ice layers surrounding them. Before them, there appeared to be a smooth, flat section of ice. At the center of this flat area, it seemed to connect to a passage leading into the lower part of the ice palace. Big brother down there? Little Zhuoma, her eyes gleaming with excitement, pointed below and spoke up. From above, the ice palace was entirely obscured by layers of ice, but at the center, the path seemed to spiral in a strange and mysterious manner. The temperature here was extremely low, with a coldness that seemed to emanate from the depths of one's soul. Even Xiao Yin couldn't help but be taken aback. These guys, they're no amateurs. Moreover, this man carries a familiar energy fluctuation. I must test him. If he proves useful, he could become a powerful ally in my quest for revenge. Faint footprints seemed to follow Xiao Yin and his group within the ice layers. Spirit Technique, Spirit Python Soul Capture. Just as Xiao Yin and his group moved toward the icy passage, a roar erupted from within the ice. Xiao Yin suddenly felt a wave of intense dread ripple through him. Boom, boom. Ghostly echoing heavenly illusions. Xiao Yan's heart shook violently, and without hesitation, he gathered his power. His spirit palace surged with energy, sending invisible ripples of power emanating outward. Crash! The two soul powers collided, invisible yet filled with enough strength to easily annihilate a 4-star Docian. Clang! The two forces intertwined and exploded, temporarily shattering the otherwise indestructible ice layer and revealing several large, noticeable holes. Who? The strength of the first person in the Earth Hall truly lives up to its reputation. After a long pause, a wisp of black energy emerged from beneath the ice, carrying an eerie presence within its aura. A ghost? Xiao Yin frowned as he observed the figure cloaked in black robes. No, this is not a ghost. This person should be the prodigy of the Soul Hall, Xun'er. At this moment, AI Xun'er shook her head, recognizing the familiar energy beneath the black robe. AI Xun'er, I didn't expect that you still haven't reached the 5-star Docian stage. The black robe was removed, revealing a rather ordinary-looking face to the two of them. A Soul Hall powerhouse, but why is it a soul body? Xiao Yin was puzzled. The Soul Hall is too mysterious. I remember the teacher mentioning that due to its unique nature, all of their members might be soul bodies, AI Xun'er explained. However, not long ago. If I calculate the time correctly, it should have been around the time you were heading toward the lovesickness tree. The Soul Hall underwent some major changes, causing its status and power to plummet drastically. AI Xun'er shook her head as she spoke of Xun'er. AI Xun'er still harbored some doubts about the Soul Hall being ransacked and its research stolen by mysterious experts, even though many powerful forces from the ferocious soul domain had been dispatched to resolve the situation. The mysterious person was the master of ferocious souls. Xun'er removed her black robe and faced Xiao Yin directly, her gaze fixed on him, as though trying to communicate something, while little Zhuoma remained frozen, surrounded by gray energy, standing motionless beside AI Xun'er. And then? Xiao Yin nodded slowly, clearly intrigued. Your soul power seems as strong as mine. This is the first time I've encountered someone like this. Xun'er continued speaking. The master of ferocious souls is the Soul Hall's greatest enemy. If the opportunity arises, I think we could work together. Xun'er said, her gaze steady on Xiao Yin. Work together? Xiao Yin was surprised. Though Xun'er's soul power was identical to his own, Xiao Yin knew that in a real battle to the death, his soul power alone would not be enough to defeat her. You have the sacred flame's power inside you. Though I'm not entirely sure, it seems undeniable. And one of the most important topics we've been researching at the Soul Hall is the method by which ghost creatures from the ghost realm can consume the sacred flame. Xun'er spoke with a hint of certainty, as if she already had Xiao Yin figured out. Ghost creatures from the ghost realm, being pure soul bodies, find it incredibly difficult to be revived as humans, especially the stronger ones. This is why the research we've been focused on has become the ultimate method for rewriting the rules for Ghost Realm creatures. If this deal succeeds, I'll share this secret with you. Seeing that Xiao Yin remained unmoved, Xun'er continued. The method for Ghost Realm creatures to consume the sacred flame. Xiao Yin was speechless. Since he already possessed the flame mantra, he didn't need such a method. However, knowing that Xun'er had brought it up, Xiao Yin wouldn't simply ignore it. Change the deal. Xiao Yin shook his head. What do you need? Xun'er frowned. I need the detailed map of the 4 great halls within the Master of Ferocious Souls temple, Xiao Yin said coldly. Now that the Master of Ferocious Souls had taken the lovesickness flame and, along with the method of consumption from the Soul Hall, Xiao Yin speculated that the Master of Ferocious Souls was secretly hiding and absorbing the lovesickness flame. Therefore, the map of the 4 great halls was crucial. The map of the 4 great halls? Are you planning to force your way into the Master of Ferocious Souls temple? That place is guarded by 8-star Do Xian powerhouses. You? Seeing Xiao Yan's unshakable attitude, Xun'er hesitated for a moment. She naturally had the most detailed map of the 4 great halls on her person. If you think my offer is acceptable, you can continue with your proposal. Otherwise, I'm afraid we'll have to part ways. Xiao Yin smiled, observing Xun'er's hesitation. Since she was seeking his cooperation, she would need to be prepared for some significant concessions. Humph. You're asking for too much, Xun'er said, feeling a bit aggrieved. If it weren't for the need to use soul power to obtain the treasure beneath the Ice Palace, Xun'er would never have sought Xiao Yan's help. But now, it seemed that only through trade could she hope to achieve her goal. What do you think? Xiao Yin asked, jokingly, clearly sensing the mysterious object beneath and daring to make such a bold request. I agree. If you help me retrieve the treasure below, I will give you the detailed map of the Master of Ferocious Souls temple. But if we fail, all right. Xiao Yin nodded lightly upon hearing this. While the items below were mysterious and precious, with the 2 sacred flames he now possessed, he naturally had no fear. What exactly is down there? Seeing the 2 reach an agreement, AI Xun'er pulled little Zhuoma closer, her gaze seemingly trying to pierce through the thick ice layer below, but unfortunately, she couldn't see what was at the bottom of the Ice Palace. There is a rare medicinal herb here called Cold Jade Spirit Bamboo. Xun'er spoke without hesitation. Cold Jade Spirit Bamboo? AI Xun'er's eyes widened slightly, clearly surprised. Such a thing would undoubtedly be valuable, but if it were just a single herb, why would so many powerful individuals rush to snatch it? Cold Jade Spirit Bamboo. The common folk know it as a medicinal herb, but they are unaware of its mysterious properties. It is entirely green and can block most of the fire energy, making it a natural enemy of flames. With it, entering a fiery region would be much easier. After all, using soul power to shield yourself from the heat of flames isn't a long-term solution. Xiao Yin explained, his words full of certainty. As an alchemist, he had long memorized the properties of such herbs. However, if they have the undying sacred tome, why come here to collect this? After a moment, Xiao Yin voiced his doubts. From what I've heard, the undying sacred tome is located at the core of this place, in an ocean of fire. Even with my soul power, I wouldn't dare stay there for more than a minute. So, finding these spirit treasures that can protect from fire is a crucial step in reaching the heart of the undying sacred tome. Xun'er explained. It seems this undying fire isn't as simple as it appears. Xiao Yin nodded in agreement. How could the flames ranked in the top 20 of the sacred flame ranking be simple? Let's go. As soon as the words were spoken, the group concealed their presence and moved down the spiral staircase at the center of the ice layer, step by step, towards the bottom of the Ice Palace. However, the temperature grew increasingly colder the deeper they went. Down below, they could already see several figures standing still. What should we do now? The ice layer protecting this thing is unbreakable. Even if we work together, we can't shatter it. At the bottom of the Ice Palace, in a fairly flat geological formation, 2 figures from the Xintian Palace appeared, one behind the other. They stood on the ice layer, facing a grand ice sculpture. Within it was a plant, entirely green and resembling bamboo, lush and thriving. Cold Jade Spirit Bamboo. This was a representative of extreme cold energy. With its protection, it could reduce the power of fire by nearly 30%. This thing is indestructible. However, if we destroy it, entering the undying sacred tome might become much more dangerous. One of the two shook his head helplessly. Let's use the soul sacrifice lock. The undying fire is imminent. We can't wait any longer. If the undying fire succeeds, our position and strength in the Ghost King realm will rise dramatically. As the words were spoken, dark, swirling patterns erupted around them. These patterns slowly coalesced into a pitch-black chain, 100 feet long. As soon as the chain appeared, it uncontrollably released eerie screams and roars, and countless illusory souls struggled within, attempting to break free from its restraints. The power of the soul lock. Shatter. Although their soul locks appeared identical, they were far from the same. Soon, both men coldly snorted, their brilliant soul locks exuding a sinister aura, and they struck the ice sculpture protecting the cold jade spirit bamboo. Boom, boom. The ice sculpture cracked under the force of the attack, shards of ice falling away. Even the cold jade spirit bamboo inside was slightly shaken, though there were no strong fluctuations. Strange. Why do their methods seem so familiar, almost exactly like the ones used by the Soul Hall? Could it be that the Ghost King realm, as I suspected, is part of the Soul Clan's power? And I've heard they have some unspeakable secrets. Xiao Yin and the others, enveloped by their powerful soul energy, didn't notice them. However, for Xiao Yin, who had dealt with the Soul Clan for years, their methods were all too familiar. Attack. At this moment, Xun'er realized there was no more time to wait, and immediately shouted, "Whoosh!" As soon as Xun'er's voice fell, the soul energy enveloping them rippled outward, and the four figures appeared. However, little Zhuoma's gaze was solely fixed on the green plant inside the ice sculpture. Enemies. At that moment, the two powerful figures from the Xun'er Palace, with their sharp senses, immediately detected Xiao Yin and the others. The soul locks wrapped around them, and their eyes shot out a cold, piercing light. The half-step 5-star Docian is yours. I'll take care of the rest. The two figures were both soul entities, though their soul power was notably weaker than that of Xiao Yin and his companion. However, the dark aura surrounding them was enough to send chills down one's spine. Your soul power may just serve as the best tonic for us. Surrender without resistance. Rustle. Upon noticing that Xiao Yin was merely at the mid-stage of 4-star Docian, the person let out a cold laugh, his voice laced with a fervent intensity. Whoosh! Xiao Yin did not rush into action. Instead, a peculiar force stirred within him. Suddenly, his shadow detached itself and concealed itself in the void, going unnoticed by the others for the moment. 3 individuals from the Xun'er Palace had come this time. The leader was named Xin Yuan, possessing the strength of early 5-star Docian. The second, Mu Wushuang, also wielded early 5-star Docian power, while the last, Tian Feng, was at half-step 5-star Docian. Die. Soul lock, sacrifice to the heavens. Tian Feng's gaze was grim as he fixed his eyes on Xiao Yin, then waved his hand. A dark soul lock surged forward, radiating terrifying fluctuations that gnawed at the heart. What a powerful attack! But, Heavenly King Seal. Seeing this, Xiao Yin remained unperturbed. The energy from his Do core surged violently as he clasped his hands together, invoking a series of ancient hand seals that unleashed a wave of masculine energy, springing forth like bamboo shoots after the rain. Boom! Waves of terrifying energy rippled from the two of them, yet the temperature here showed no sign of escalating due to their clash. If anything, it dropped even lower. This guy hides more strength than he lets on. Watching Xiao Yin and Tian Feng battle nearby, Xun'er felt a sense of relief wash over her. Being able to draw with a half-step 5-star Docian, while at mid-stage of 4-star Docian was an impressive achievement, enough to make him a true prodigy even within the entire Ferocious Soul domain. Is that Xun'er from the Soul Hall? Xin Yuan said, his expression indifferent, choosing not to act recklessly as he muttered under his breath. You, from Xun'er Palace, are protected by the 5 great halls yet dare to act so boldly. You really have some guts, Xun'er replied, snorting coldly as a terrifying offensive aura enveloped her. The purpose of our actions is something you could never understand. So, meet your end. Just as the words left his mouth, their brilliant attacks erupted, and the battle between Xun'er and Xiao commenced, their moves ferocious. This guy's power is indeed bizarre and overwhelming. I can't hold back any longer. Though Xiao had been able to hold his ground against Tianfeng at the start, the gap in their strengths became increasingly apparent. Now, he was at a disadvantage. He hadn't resorted to the flame-swallowing technique and had merely hoped to compete with the power of Dragon God transformation. It appeared that was too ambitious after all. Fall here. Tianfeng realized that while Xiao combat prowess was extremely terrifying, his actual strength was simply too weak. Thus, Xiao downfall was merely a matter of time. Hee, is that so? Flame-swallowing technique. In an instant, Xiao gaze sharpened, strange energy surged from deep within him. The red small cauldron in front of his chest flashed momentarily, and simultaneously, Xiao strength soared dramatically, leaping from mid-stage of 4-star Do Xian to half-step 5-star Do Xian. Although this power from an external source didn't match Tianfeng's genuine half-step 5-star Do Xian level, the various advantages from Xiao cultivation techniques and Do skills were sufficient to easily bridge the gap. A secret technique to enhance strength temporarily? Half-step 5-star Do Xian? Tianfeng, who had initially been confident of victory, frowned at that moment, feeling a flicker of greed rising within him. A secret technique to boost strength in a short time would only provide a minor increase, but the mysterious Do skill that allowed Xiao to jump nearly 3 ranks was indeed appealing to Tianfeng. 7-layered Skybreaker Ruler. After utilizing the flame-swallowing technique, Xiao power surged. He let out a cold laugh and swung the massive ruler behind him down toward Tianfeng. In no time, 7 enormous fiery rulers morphed into 7 writhing giant serpents, heading straight for him. Rustle. At that moment, Tianfeng's expression turned grave. Regardless of the situation, Xiao truly had the means to confront him head-on now. Since you've invoked such a trick, let me show you what true ghosts from the ghost realm are. Ha ha ha. A dazzling aura of ghostly energy erupted from Tianfeng, completely covering the icy surface. The bone-chilling radiance transformed into a sinister and eerie dark aura. What's this guy planning? Ghostly demon wolf. Moments later, amidst the shadowy and oppressive dark ghostly energy, a massive creature emerged, as if a demon had crawled out from the depths of hell. The aura and power it radiated made the air grow heavy, making it hard to breathe. Boom! With a rumble, a giant, muscular demon wolf crawled out. The demon wolf's body was shrouded in dark ghostly energy, making it appear incredibly robust. Even its limbs had faint, worm-like markings that spread across its body. With these markings, the demon wolf's aura and power were enough to be considered a dominant force in its territory. Tear him apart. Summoning this creature seemed to have drained Tianfeng of a considerable amount of energy, and he immediately roared at the massive beast. Roar! The demon wolf, understanding the command, nodded, then focused its gaze solely on Xiao. The boundless ghostly energy trembled around it. A creature that could rival a human in the early stages of 5-star Do Xian? Let's see then. Xiao, seeing this, felt no fear. Instead, a faint sense of chance welled up inside him. Swish! In the blink of an eye, the demon wolf moved. Its figure shot toward Xiao, hidden beneath the ghostly energy on the ice layer. The very space around it seemed to crack due to the wolf's speed. Bang! 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 In the blink of an eye, the demon wolf was already mere meters from Xiao. It raised its front paw, which was wrapped in countless strands of ghostly energy, and struck toward Xiao with tremendous force. Heaven-shifting ruler. Xiao hand transformed the ancient ruler of heavenly flames into intricate patterns, redirecting the wolf's attack. Boom! The edges of their battle erupted with ghostly energy and claw strikes, but the seemingly solid ice layer was shattered by the raw power of the energy. Scarlet Flame Sea. Seeing this, Xiao smiled slightly. His flame mantra surged within him, and the power of the great heavenly scarlet flame shot out like a spring, completely enveloping the ghostly energy, with the power of his fireheart heavenly rock also emerging. At the same time, the shadowy ghostly energy that had blocked out the sky was completely surrounded by Xiao firestorm, causing a hint of fear to emerge within it. "Looks like your ghostly creatures are afraid of my flames," Xiao said slowly, observing the dramatic scene. At the same time, two flames, one fiery red, the other earthy yellow, began to swirl around the ancient ruler of heavenly flames in his hand. The moment these flames appeared, Tian Feng's usually calm face darkened. Holy flame power. Just a few words, but they carried an expression of disbelief. The native inhabitants of the ghost realm were all spirits of ghostly entities, and fire was their true nemesis, like a hellish furnace to them. Not good. Ghostly demon wolf return? Tian Feng cried out to the beast. Seeing the scorching firestorm, the fiery red power quickly turned into earthy yellow flames. The pressure on Tian Feng increased dramatically, and he hurriedly shouted at the demon wolf. The demon wolf was a creature born of the ghostly energy within him. If it was injured, his own essence would be severely shaken. Too late. Flame, come forth. Sky-breaking rock burial. Explode. Seeing Tian Feng's reaction, Xiao raised his hand, and the ancient ruler of heavenly flames, wrapped in earthy yellow holy flame power, shot toward him, preventing his escape. Meanwhile, countless flames gathered within the firestorm, unleashing an overwhelming suppression. Boom! The demon wolf was fast, but within Xiao sea of flames, it found it increasingly difficult to move. Even though it tried to flee with all its might, it was quickly pursued by Xiao. Bang! 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 Flames condensed around the demon wolf, and no matter how much it struggled or how loudly the ghostly energy howled, it was of no use. In no time, countless flames surrounded the demon wolf. Then, at Xiao command, the flames latched onto its body, and the terrifying heat completely purged the ghostly energy from the wolf's form. Even its skin was blasted apart. Thud! With a loud crash, the demon wolf's body was utterly crushed by Xiao sky-breaking rock burial. The icy palace around them returned to its original cold, but Tian Feng's face turned pale, his mouth spilling out ghostly light. It was clear that Xiao actions had severely injured him. Damned brat! You've ruined everything. On the other side, Xin Yuan, who had been circling with Xun'er, glared at Xiao with malevolent eyes, wishing he could tear Xiao into pieces. Even now, he still couldn't believe how Tian Feng, with his half-step 5-star Docian power, was so severely wounded by a mere mid-stage 4-star Docian. Looks like this time, you've lost, Xun'er said, slightly nodding. Her ethereal soul body flickered with overwhelming power as she fixed her gaze on Xin Yuan. Both Xun'er and Xin Yuan were at the early stage of 5-star Docian, and both were soul entities. How is it? AI Xun'er asked with concern as she watched Xiao eliminate Tian Feng with a thunderous strike. I'm fine, but this little one, what's going on? Xiao put away the flame-swallowing technique and looked at little Zhuoma beside him, puzzled. I don't know. As soon as we entered here, she's been staring at the frozen cold jade spirit bamboo, as if she's lost in some kind of memory. AI Xun'er shook her head, a glimmer of worry flashing in her beautiful eyes. Be careful. That guy's strength is not to be underestimated, and something feels off about this place. After a moment, Xiao said, his gaze shifting to Xin Yuan, who was battling Xun'er in the center of the arena. Ah, you little brat. I'll tear you apart. With severe injuries, Tian Feng's strength had dropped back to the late stage of 4-star Docian. The ghostly energy inside his body was in chaos, clearly still suffering from the immense damage caused by Xiao elimination of the ghostly demon wolf. Boom, boom, boom. Tian Feng, since you're in this state, then let me finish you off. Seeing Tian Feng in such a frenzied state, Xin Yuan's expression was indifferent. A hint of fiery intensity appeared in his eyes, and ghostly energy swirled violently around him, as if something terrifying was brewing. Xianyuan. Tianfeng's pupils shrank when he heard this, as if he sensed something. He struggled to drag his weakened soul body and swiftly attempted to flee toward the edge of the ice palace. Tianfeng, where do you think you're going? Thud. Before Tianfeng could even run a few hundred meters, Xianyuan's body suddenly expanded hundreds of times, crossing the ice layer and appearing before Tianfeng in an instant. Then, with a flash of his mouth, Tianfeng's figure was directly devoured. Not good. What? Both Xun'er and Xiao exclaimed in shock at the same time. With their soul powers, they could sense the eerie fluctuations. At this moment, it seemed that Tianfeng had truly been consumed by Xianyuan, whose aura surged from the early stage of 5-star Do Xian to an even higher level. Boom, boom, boom. As Xianyuan devoured him, a dark cloud suddenly covered his soul body. Then, a fierce tremor shook his form as sinister winds blew around them. Damn it, I was careless. Xun'er came to Xiao Yan's side, her head lowered. What if he gains the strength of the mid-stage of 5-star Do Xian? Xiao Yan asked gravely, observing Xun'er's serious expression, sensing the underlying gravity of the situation. If that happens, we might have no choice but to retreat, and our deal will have to be broken, Xun'er said, a self-deprecating smile appearing on her face. We've been played, but leave this guy to me. Xiao Yan waved his hand helplessly, taking a step forward. He knew that in a battle of soul bodies, the stronger side naturally had the advantage of timing and place. Therefore, it was up to him to intervene. Whoosh! In an instant, the eerie black mist dissipated, and a skull appeared in Xianyuan's ethereal hand. Upon closer inspection, the skull resembled Tianfeng's, though it had clearly lost all power, like a puppet at the mercy of its handler. On the skull, faint traces of agony emanated, and within it, there was a terrifyingly powerful wave of energy. This guy actually devoured and compressed all of Tianfeng's strength into this form. Not only is his power about to surge to the mid-stage of 5-star Do Xian, but it seems like he's also infused Tianfeng's body with some kind of energy. Xiao Yan stepped forward, his expression grim. You're too late. Xianyuan's pupils suddenly turned a sinister red, and his ethereal hand rapidly shifted. A surge of eerie and strange power flowed outward once again. Ha ha ha. All of you must die. Soul power. As Xianyuan's manic laughter echoed, a blood-red light flashed from the back of his palm. Moments later, it surged toward Tianfeng's skull. At the same time, the skull expanded rapidly, and the expression on it was magnified, showing shock and pain, seeping out of the skull with every passing second. Along with it, a strong destructive force began to rise. Blood spirit explosion. When the skull reached a size of over 100 meters, Xianyuan quickly retreated. A creepy, eerie laughter filled the void. Boom! As the skull rapidly expanded and exploded, blood-colored rays suddenly shot out from within, staining the bottom of the ice palace in a blood-red hue, turning it into something akin to a true hellish purgatory, where blood lights surged around them. Whoosh! Thunderous blood-colored rays shot out from the skull in all directions, creating a scene reminiscent of the apocalypse, sending chills down their spines. What is going on? Xianyuan, where do you think you're running? Xiao Yan's figure flickered, and with the power of sacred flame, he was temporarily unaffected by the blood-red light. You possess the power of sacred flame, but for someone at the mid-stage of 5-star Do Xian like me, you're just courting death. Die! Xianyuan's eyes gleamed with madness as his palm struck toward Xiao Yan, his laughter becoming more frenzied. Yet, he never noticed the inconspicuous shadow beside him, which had been floating nearby for some time. Stab! A cold voice rang out, like the scythe of death. In an instant, a sharp, cutting sound erupted, fast and lethal. Whoosh whoosh. The next moment, Xianyuan, whose strength was nearing the mid-stage of 5-star Do Xian, narrowed his eyes. His soul body was suddenly cleaved in half by an unknown creature. Flames swirled around the wound, his essence severely damaged, and his strength drastically weakened. It's over. Soon after, Xiao smiled slightly, his palm gathering even hotter sacred flame power, which formed a fiery prison and trapped Xun'er inside his body. He spared him because Xun'er likely held something Xiao wanted to know. However, Xiao had still underestimated the power of the Fire Guard ruler. After all, even a typical early-stage 4-star Docian could pose a threat to someone at the perfect 4-star Docian level. Not to mention that the Fire Guard ruler had mutated, with Xiao sacred flame power amplifying it. The sheer power was terrifying. Glug, glug. With Xun'er dealt with, the Ice Palace returned to complete tranquility. Although a surge of intense energy had appeared when Xun'er was captured, it dissipated in the blink of an eye.